You're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be able to do a lot more. You're going to be a lot less tired, a lot more focused, a lot more clarity when you do work, and that everything that you do is going to be more efficient. Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso, and my medical expertise is in scaling all types of businesses in the medical field to 7, 8, and 9 figures, and I'm sharing my journey with you. This isn't a podcast telling you you should do this. I'm just telling you how I did this. I want to help you build your business, take ownership of your life, and become a better leader at home and at work. And if you're a medical entrepreneur, I'd love to connect with you. We have free courses available at dralexspinoso.com/courses. Connect with me on Instagram and on our mastermind page, joincharismatics.com. And always the Miss Amanda May here, enjoying my home studio. Is my dog licking your toes?
It's the best way to start the day.
That's extra. That's extra for you right there. You just come over and get your toes licked.
Yeah.
At the Spinoso podcast room. Oh, what a creepy ass dog. So those are, I don't know how you got your dogs, but my dogs were uninvited guests in my house. So my wife sent me an Instagram the other day of a woman who went out, and it says on it like, oh, when my husband tells me to get all the essential things, and she's unpacking a grocery bag, and it's like a stack of bananas, some oranges, and then she pulls out a puppy.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's literally what my fucking wife did.
Yeah. I think though, didn't that be because you guys were arguing, right?
That was for the first dog. The second
okay.
dog was literally, she just went to the puppy store and then just brought him home.
Oh,
same shit. It was like the same shit. Yeah.
Yeah. They needed a companion.
Yeah. It's actually good because they do love to wrestle and everything. And without the second dog, Reptar, Bo was pretty just like inactive, just kind of chilling around the house and everything like that. He wouldn't do much, but now that they have each other, they're a lot more playful with each other. So,
well, I had a Saint Bernard.
Oh
and
shit!
I had a few.
You have Chihuahuas now.
Yeah,
like that's a big difference.
I had a few of Saint Bernards. I absolutely love them. But the female I had gotten when I was like 7 months pregnant with my son, and everyone's like, "You're ridiculous! Like you have no idea what you've just signed up for. Like this dog that's going to be the size of a human being and a baby at the same time is like a bad idea." But at 20, you kind of don't think through things like that.
Like, hell yeah.
But she was absolutely amazing, and she through the years I would rescue other dogs, and I had rescued one Saint Bernard from a place in Michigan. I lived in Ohio at the time, and they didn't realize how big the dog was going to get, and he was over 200 pounds. And so they just kind of had him chained in the back of a yard, like on a 6-foot chain, and in Upper Michigan, Lake Effect Snow. It's just really, and they're dogs
they love
that
outside,
are made
though.
for,
They love snow. And
so it wasn't terrible for him, but it just wasn't good quality of life. And we had a pretty big yard, and our garage, when I was with my son's father, that's when I got the dogs, but we had a garage that was like a 10-car garage in the back of the house. So it was really big. So there was definitely room for these two big animals. And that dog took a liking to me, and not too many other people, but he was so big, and it was quite fantastic because actually Isaac, I think, was maybe 6 months old at the time. This dog would like guard the back of the house. Like nobody would come up to the house because he looked like Cujo, really.
Yeah, he's massive. I mean, he's 200 pounds.
Yeah, he was insane, but he was just super loving to me. And then he was just so big. I really didn't have him around the baby. But anyway, through the years, I've had different Saint Bernards, and then I rehomed him when I moved to Vegas because I couldn't take two big dogs, but I kept her. Anyway, long story short, she passed from cancer at 8. And I was just heartbroken. And so I was like, I'm not getting another dog. I can't go through this again. And then I've been married a few times. My second husband and I had moved to I've only had two, so I'm not
There
going
you
to
go.
go on to like my
Yeah, there's
third or
no,
fourth.
yeah.
But my second husband and I had moved to Florida at the time, and I just was like, I don't want to. And he would ask, like, do you want another dog? And I'm like, I can't. Like, just, I can't handle the emotion of that. And then one day he called and he's like, hey, the lady that works for me in sales is getting rid of her dog because she travels so much and she had gone through a divorce. And I thought maybe it was time. And would you want another dog? And he sent a picture and it was this cute little fluffy, he's a Yorkie poo.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was just a puppy little, so freaking cute. And I was like, oh, don't mess with my heart right now. He's like, well, if you want him, you can, I'm cool with it if you want to get him. And so I did. I went and picked up Ted.
Okay.
So Yorkie poo, didn't pay for him, had all his shots, like super cute. But when I got there, he wasn't a puppy anymore. And I'm like, I was sold a bill of, like this cute little puppy kids. And he's, he's tall and skinny and lanky.
He looks like a rat.
Yeah. I was like, this doesn't look like the same dog.
The fuck is this?
But no, now I still have him. He's like, he's 13. But he's traveled all over the country with me. He's lived in multiple states with me. I got divorced, but I kept the dog. So the dog's been in my life longer than any man.
most people.
And so
that's funny.
Yeah, no, Sean's he's a lifer. He's not going anywhere, but
that's hilarious.
He's going to be stuck with me long after the dog dies.
Right.
But, and then when Sean and I got together, he has 2 Chihuahuas. And those were from his previous marriage. So they aren't dogs I picked out, but they're super cute. So yeah, we have 3 very small little dogs at the house. The Chihuahuas are lap dogs. They don't do anything, really. You don't even know that they're there. But Ted follows me around. Anywhere I go, he goes. He does not leave the room until I leave the room.
Really?
He's definitely...
He's just attached to you at the hip.
Dog. Yeah, definitely.
That's freaking hilarious.
So that was a long story about how I got the dogs. And in that, you learned about my relationships and my level of commitment when it comes to
your life
things. But today, back to the podcast, we are going to talk about self-care and whether that is lame or legit.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I love my bubble baths with a glass of wine and a good book.
You do have a really great bathtub.
Yeah, I never use it.
Yeah. I only know about your bathtub because your wife posts pictures in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Just for the listeners.
Yeah, with the mirror.
It's the only reason I know about your bathtub.
Yeah, sure. No wonder why you got 3 marriages. No, it's used for the kids like 24/7. Yeah. We bathe them all in there and it's a great tub for that. It's a great tub for the kids. I don't think Steph and I have used that tub once, like for any amount of time. I think I used it once for like a Epsom salt soak when my legs were really sore, but I don't have time for a bath.
I was just going to say,
I can't sit in a bathtub and just be like, okay, I'm in the bathtub, I'm relaxing. Fucking hate it. I'm like, why am I here? I could have just showered. I immediately regret this decision.
That's funny. Sean and I were just talking about baths because was giving Ellie a bath last night. And he said when he was growing up, they didn't have showers because the houses were old in Fort Worth. Like he only ever remembers really taking a bath.
Yeah.
Like up until 10 years old.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's interesting. But anyway, I don't know with 3 and now 4 children in the house. He has
a history like he grew up in Africa and it's like he grew up in Fort Worth.
He grew up in the kind of the hood of Fort Worth. So the houses were really old.
Yeah.
His aunt owned a few houses on the same street and they were like $5,000.
Wow.
That was the cost of the houses.
That's wild.
That kind of puts into perspective the houses.
Yeah. That's so wild.
But yeah, with 4 little ones, I'm not sure how or when you would find any time to take a bath. But, when it comes to self-care, one of the things that's like kind of a buzzword is the whole self-care concept. And when it comes, especially in the personal development space, the woohoo kind of fluffy stuff.
All that shit.
But a lot of people talk about it more like day spas, massages, even bath time, but kind of that Me Too style of retreat for health and wellness. And, the reality is for a lot of us, that just isn't something that we have time for or that we can slow down to actually to do for ourselves. And so, and for some of us that feels a little fluffy, like what are you gonna do? Oh, I'm taking a bath and relaxing. And so we're going to talk today more about practical self-care and not necessarily sipping cucumber water instead of building your business and working towards your goals. And so flipping the script a little bit and talking about whether it's productive self-care and legitimate self-care, things that we can do as entrepreneurs to truly rejuvenate and love on ourselves in meaningful ways that are effective and also, yes, very productive at the same time, instead of just sitting in your bathtub. I can kind of think of you actually being like, okay, I'm sitting here relaxing, but you're still on your phone.
Probably. I would definitely be on
You
my
can't
phone.
really take your phone in the shower.
Yeah, you
It
can't.
doesn't work that
You can't.
way.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
absolutely
at least
not.
we know you're clean because you're taking showers without your phone. But
Right?
if you were in
Exactly.
the bath,
If I
you
was in
might
the
just
bath all
be
the time.
soaking.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll talk about four valid, very key points to this concept. And I'm going to start out with my favorite one of these four,
Okay.
and that's exercising and eating well.
Okay.
And that this
It's
is
definitely not my favorite of the four.
Good. Well, let's see which one is
Yeah.
your favorite. Because exercising and eating well is absolutely the number one form of self-care. If you're not taking care of yourself and you don't have your health, you don't have anything anyway.
Right.
You don't have that quality time with your family. You don't have the time to put into your business. I know at times when I've gotten sick, it's like, that's what I want more than anything. I'm not thinking about how much money I have in the bank account. I'm thinking about getting out of my bed or not coughing my head off or, being able to actually eat something.
Yeah.
So it's like that is something that I feel like we really need to dig into more. And that's exercise and eating well.
Yeah, 100%. And exactly like you said it, the healthy man wishes for 1,000 things and the sick man wishes for only one thing. If you're not taking care of yourself, whether that's your diet and exercise, then you're definitely not you're not taking care of yourself. Period. You're not prioritizing yourself. Period. You have to be working out. You have to be maybe you don't have to be in the gym, but you have to be working out. You have to be doing something for your health, for your movement of your body. And it's not just about looking good. There's all this data that's out there that exercise also makes you feel good. I mean, it's gonna give you your endorphin rush. It's gonna make you feel healthier. It's gonna make you feel more mental clarity. And there's tons of studies to back that up, where exercise has shown to improve mind clarity. It has shown to reduce chances of Alzheimer's and obviously reduces cardiovascular disease. And now there's all these studies where, well, if you work out too much or you exercise too much, it could be harmful. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't think there's anything to that. I think that's just a bunch of pseudoscience that's fucking thrown out there to make people just say, well, I don't want to hurt myself and give them an excuse for being lazy pieces of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be intense at the beginning. It could be a light walk or a light workout, but you got to do something for yourself. You have to be moving. 100% you have to be moving. And food is a huge part of that too.
Yeah, you can't. I love this statement I've heard. You can't work out or outwork a bad diet.
Yeah.
And I saw a meme recently on Instagram that said we have a candy holiday followed by a pie holiday, followed by a candy and pie holiday, followed by a boozer holiday.
Yeah.
And yet we call it flu season.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because the sugar and the alcohol and the things that people are consuming affects your health and wellness and your mindset. And it's like really thinking about and taking a look at the things that we consume. Sugar was one of the biggest eye openers for me. Sean's super into health and wellness, personal trainer, been in fitness for years and years and years. And one of the first things he taught me when we moved in together was to read food labels.
Mm.
And I never thought about it. I was like, I eat healthy. And then he's like, do you really? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I would have went to my grave thinking I ate healthy. And then he started showing me like, well, this thing you bought, the second ingredient is cane sugar. And I'm like, shit, like I didn't, why would they put cane sugar in salmon? You
Yeah.
know, like that doesn't make any sense. But if you really read food labels, he's like, don't focus on the calorie intake, focus on how many ingredients you're consuming. And then you'll start to really see what your health and wellness looks like. Because it's like some of these things create inflammation in the body. And I didn't know, but when I started really paying attention to the ingredients and not the calories, it was like I started eating for my health and not for like this to be skinny. And that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And mental clarity, because not consuming, you know, canola oils and sugars and things like that on a
Yeah.
normal basis.
Yeah. No, that's a huge thing. And I eat like shit because of the fact that I competed in bodybuilding for such a long period of time through my medical school a little bit, then through residency, and then a little bit after residency, Steph and I competed. And now I'm just like, I know what to eat. Like almost everybody does. They know what to eat, but they just don't fucking do it. And you could use the kids as an excuse, although I don't eat any of the kids' food because kids eat like way better than me. Like I don't eat, like the kids have gourmet, you know, organic chicken nuggets with freshly cut potatoes, you know, cooked in the air fryer. You know, no seed oils, avocado oils only. Everything is healthy. Their baby, you know, their baby food was organic, made by the nanny and Steph. So Steph like cooks for them organic everything. I'm the one who eats like a piece of shit in the house. Like I'm still eating Halloween candy. That's that they got, which is great because I have triplets. So like
You
you
got a
guys,
lot.
yeah, you guys steal from your one kid. I have four. So I get 4 times the amount of candy on holidays, and it's fucking incredible.
That's great.
As a result of that, we also have 4 times the amount of like birthday cake and shit like that, which is also terrible for you. But when I was starting out in the entrepreneur world, I felt like I didn't have the time to exercise or take care of myself or eat right. It was
Mhm.
always like I have meetings, and now I even have meetings all day long. And a lot of days I don't exercise, but I know for a fact that the times where I was the fittest and I would exercise, not the most, because people say, well, I mean, you're training obviously exercise and the time that you exercise for time that you could be working on your business. But what I realized and what most entrepreneurs don't realize is working out and actually having a great body, you know, taking care of yourself, eating really, really well will make you 10 times more efficient and effective than not working out and then just working on your business the entire time. So when you eat right, when you exercise, when you keep your body in good shape, it's like the look good, feel good, play good type thing where you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be able to do a lot more. You're going to be a lot less tired, a lot more focused, a lot more clarity when you do work, and that everything that you do is going to be more efficient when you have things set up that way. So when I worked out, or when I do work out, when I do eat right, I know I could get more done. And so thinking about it from almost a professional point of view is that what would an athlete do, or what would a professional do in this situation, has helped me. And that's what I think I, for myself, have to think about is like, am I going to eat this? Well, would a professional athlete eat that?
Mm.
Probably not. So, and the willpower will get there. It's like little by little, it gets better and better and better. But that is definitely one of the big lessons that I learned is that truly taking care of yourself, truly taking care of your food that you eat and your body through exercise is taking care of your business, because you are going to be able to do more. You are going to be able to be more efficient. You're going to be able to be more present with your staff and with your team, and more will just be accomplished when you're healthy and when you're eating right.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the story of the two lumberjacks?
No, this is going to be good. There's two lumberjacks
There's
inside of
two-
you, and one is evil, and
Well, there's a good
the one
story.
you feed is the one you become. Is that the
There's-
story?
There's a good story.
Oh, that's a
about
wolf story, right?
two lumberjacks.
Okay, cool.
Okay. They would get up and go to work at the same time every day,
Mhm.
and they would finish at the same time every day. And the one lumberjack always cut more wood than the other one.
Mhm.
And the one that was cutting less wood would watch. And he's like, what is he doing that's so much different? And what he noticed is that every day in the afternoon, the one guy would leave for an hour and he'd be gone for an hour. Then he'd come back and he'd continue working. And so as he watched, he's like, how is he even gone for an hour and still cutting more wood than what I'm able to do? So one day he finally asks him, what are you doing that makes you so much more efficient? Like, and where do you go for an entire hour every day? And the guy said, well, that's really easy. I go and I sharpen my axe. So he comes back and he's able to actually cut more wood than the other guy. And it makes me think about the fact that every time we take that time out to make smart choices with our food or our exercise, we're sharpening our minds and we're sharpening our spirits. And it means that when we come back, we can be that much more effective and do that much more than maybe we could do if we weren't spending the time taking care of ourselves. So taking care of his axe is taking care of himself.
100%. You want to bring that sucker over here? Come over here, Mason.
Oh yeah.
Bring it over here. Bring it over here.
That's perfect.
That's actually,
we didn't even plan that, but it's good.
That's actually the reason why we have it. I have it. So this was given to me by, and you could just bring the whole, you just bring in the axe, huh?
Yeah, he's bringing.
You can bring the axe. Yeah, the axe is fine. You can bring just the axe. This bitch is. I gotta make sure I don't drop it on Bobo.
On the
I'll
dog.
fucking kill him. So
Wow.
So this is an axe. Actually, it's a Holzbrook axe. It's a big ass fucking axe.
Yeah,
and
it is.
so it is sharpened actually crazy sharp. Like you could chop this shit out of a tree with this thing. And it has my name on it. So this is actually a gift given to me by Ed Milet and Andy Frisella. This was after the first year of Arate. At the end of Arate, and Andy always talks about that story of the two lumberjacks. He doesn't call it the two lumberjack story, so that's why when he said two lumberjack story, I was like, nah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, his is just like sharpen the axe or whatever. It's the same exact story. But he never
that's
had
not where I heard
had
it. So I feel
he never
really
had a title
smart
for it. So yeah, you feel really smart. That's what it's from. But it's absolutely, you're absolutely right. You got to take that time out to sharpen your axe for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And, from a very practical standpoint for anyone listening, like as a female entrepreneur, it's like there are some things to think about and ways to step into a healthier lifestyle with your diet and exercise. And so from a very practical standpoint, one of the things that I think was my best investment was my Peloton bike. I got it actually on Marketplace for $500. It was pretty much brand new. And the $44 fee every month for the Peloton app. This is not an ad for Peloton. Although if you happen to have any connections with Peloton and you want to sponsor our podcast, let us know because I'm down for that. But genuinely speaking, what I do is an hour each 5 to 6 days a week. I try to do 5 to 6 days a week of 1 hour a day, like something very reasonable, something I can absolutely complete. It's not too overboard. And I do 20 minutes of either a bike ride or a run. I do 30 minutes of weightlifting and then a 10-minute stretch or foam rolling, some sort of mobility training. So in 1 hour, I can accomplish a lot. And as you get older, for women that are beyond their mid 30s, hitting 40s and up, you really have to focus on strength training. I think that's where I've stayed the fittest because it's, in your 20s, you can focus on just burning calories and doing cardio because you kind of already have the muscle mass. But as you get older, you got to kind of shift that up a little bit. So I do a little less cardio, but still some cardio to work on cardiovascular health. And then focus the bulk of my training on weightlifting. It doesn't have to be a lot, but some sort of weightlifting. And Peloton classes are great because they've got so many options to choose from. So anywhere you're starting or, at any level, beginner, intermediate, advanced, they've got classes for everything. So, and then staying mobile, making sure that, I'm rolling out and stretching and being able to move my body like I used to when I was younger. And then every once in a while I'll do pushes because I do like to run. I did I did an 8K this weekend at the Dallas Marathon.
Mm.
And so I do like to run because it feels like it's just a nice goal to push toward.
Yeah.
And so then I'll train a little extra as the weeks are
Yeah.
heading up to some sort of run, but just keeping it simple. I mean, I think people get overwhelmed thinking like you have to go to the gym and you have all this time and energy, but really in 1 hour a day, you can really do a lot. And you have a home gym.
Yeah, I have a home gym, and it's helped me be a lot more efficient when it comes to exercising and working out or even fitting it in my schedule. Because if I have an hour, then I can work out for 50 minutes and still be able to shower and change after a workout versus if I have an hour and I drive 15 minutes to the gym, then I've lost 30 minutes and I only have a 30-minute workout. So that's helped it be
Mm.
much more efficient. And if you don't have a home gym, you don't need a crazy home gym. You can do push ups until you fail, sit ups until you fail, squats with your body weight until you fail over and over and over. And I mean, that's enough exercise. That'll be good enough exercise for 30 minutes to an hour.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, really, when it comes to self care, it starts with taking care of yourself physically. And that's a non negotiable when it comes to self care being lame or legit. And that's legit. um, and then our second really key point here is that productivity and enjoyment can go hand in hand. And you can enjoy the self-care side, but also be productive at the same time.
Yeah, there's no law that somehow self-care has to be away from work or not associated with your business or anything like that. That's bullshit. And quite honestly, for me, self-care is uh, working on the company. Like I like that stuff. That's it. It calms me down. It like I get into it. I don't have to worry about the outside world or anything like that. So working on my business is like a day off. When I go on vacation, I cannot sit and some people sit at the beach and stare at the water and play on their phones and surf social media and stuff. I can't do that. Like I sit there, but I am on my phone working. But I like to do that. Is relaxing to me. It's just working in a different area. I guess is just relaxing. Working in an area that I can see the beach. I mean, that's super relaxing to me. So I don't have to completely disconnect myself from work, and you don't have to as either. If that's what you love to do, if that's what want to do day in day out, then that could be your self-care. It could be brainstorming business issues or going to a business lunch or a business dinner with a colleague that you work with or whatever. That's what now is my relaxation period. That's how I can be more productive in that.
Yeah, so it gives you life to actually dream and have passion for the future, some sort of vision that's, coming out in that free time. Well, you talked once before too about sometimes that happens like when you're cleaning your office and you're just like quiet and you're doing something in your space, and how sometimes that gives you those like new ideas and those thoughts that come to you that are inspiring, make you think differently, and that feels productive. um and for some people it might mean stepping away entirely. I we're not discounting the value of that. If for an entrepreneur, you need to step away entirely. I mean, for me, I like to have quiet time and journal.
Mm.
And so that's something that I don't have to go on vacation for. But I do like it. Now, that being said, when I went to Vegas this last time for Status Skin, our skincare line, to find and meet some vendors for our packaging, I stayed at the Fontainebleau. It was beautiful property, and I was by myself. So I like that when I travel by myself, I want to be in a space that feels inspiring and feels big and kind of creates this openness for me to dream from a bigger scale. So stepping into an environment like that is very life-giving for me. And then I got up early, had some coffee at the cafe, went and had a great workout, and they were doing a sound meditation that day as well. So I had an awesome run, a light workout, and then a sound meditation. It's all foo-foo.
Yeah.
But being away, it was like having that time to disconnect really opened me up to feel refreshed. And I have a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, she was, I think, 9 months at the time. So like just even disconnecting as a mom, like from the things that I need to do day to day in the household and the things that people need from me, to being able to just focus on the business for a 2-day window was beautiful. So it was like, yes, I went to the spa, I had a facial, I did the sauna, I sat in the steam room. It was quiet. Nobody needed anything from me. And so, it's not that you can't have those times. It's just like, how often am I going to get that?
Yeah.
Like that's probably a few times a year, where day to day we're talking about having self-care and things that you can practically do normally in your life versus getting away for a spa day.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy the spa day.
100%.
But take care of yourself in these other ways too, because that's going to affect your day-to-day work environment.
Yeah, that's huge as a wife and as a mom. You need to have some sort of time to yourself, some sort of quiet where everybody just shuts the fuck up and you have the time to yourself, or else if you're always on, you're going to burn yourself out at some point. Always being on 100% of the time. You got to have a little bit of time to yourself, because women are very different from men when it comes to that. I could just talk to people if I have to, but I would rather not want to talk to people at all. But I think it's very important that moms, you guys are taking care of yourself, that you guys are taking the time out for yourself and everything like that. And when I travel as well, I like to have those, like, I like to go to those places and stay in those places that, open my eyes and are at a different level than where I'm usually staying at. So that's why when I go to Vegas, I always stay at Larry Flint's Hustlers. And so I always make sure I'm always opening my eyes and everything like that to the world. And Mason's playing
I
on his phone
knew
right
this
now,
was
so-
headed
but
that
Mason's
direction.
playing on his phone, so he didn't hear anything I said, but that's okay.
He probably, do you even know what Larry Flint's Hustler Club is?
I don't know. I was paying my insurance bill.
I love it.
There you
I
go.
love it.
There you go. The
I knew that was
producer's
headed
doing a
that
good job,
direction.
like on our fucking
though.
thing, doing nothing useful.
That's great.
Oh shit.
So it's really about reducing stressors in your life. Are there any other ways, when we're talking about being productive and having that self-care time, are there any other things for you that reduce some of those stressors that can come your way?
I would think, like, honestly, whatever you feel like is gonna reduce your stress, or whatever reduces your stress, then do it. If that's reading a book, if that's meditating, if that's working out, if that's going outside in nature, whatever you need to do, then just realize you don't need to do it for fucking 4 hours a day. Like, you don't need to do it for an hour a day. Oh, if you blast out an exercise in 30 minutes, that's more than enough time. Or if you need
Mhm.
time to breathe or calm down or meditate, 15, 20 minutes is more than enough. And if you're thinking, well, I don't have enough time, well, you do have 15 to 20 minutes, because I guarantee you've been scrolling on your phone for 15, 20 minutes at some point, or dicking around watching a show for 15 or 20 minutes. You have that 15 or 20 minutes
Mhm.
to yourself. So take it and realize that that is what's going to help you be more productive, is taking that time every once in a while.
Yeah, it's such a good point. All right. The third topic, which I don't think a lot of people will consider a form of self-care, but maybe we'll change some viewpoints on that after they hear our perspectives on this, is that family time really is built in as a level of self-care. And so while I said in the last point that I needed to get away to actually clear my mind and not have anyone need anything from me, the reality is that's not my day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
People need things from me in my household. I essentially run the ship. So I got 4 people in the house that are looking at, and 3 dogs that are looking for something from me, usually all throughout the day. Plus, being an executive with Genesis and a CEO of Status Skin Solutions, there's a lot on my plate. There's a lot that is needed of me. And with the expectations that are on me, that family time in a different way can also be really essential when it comes to self-care.
Absolutely.
And so you have 3 triplets. You have 3. You just welcomed another baby girl 6 months ago. And so when it comes to your time with your family, how do you feel like that helps with your productiveness and your energy levels and, you know, how you feel in the work environment?
You know, the good thing, and I'm blessed to be able to work from home. So I see the kids throughout the day. They come and Reptar's in your face. That's awesome. You get a clip of that for sure. For those who are listening, Reptar, my 8-pound mini poodle, is like in Amanda May's face.
He
right
loved
now.
when I was pregnant. He used to lay on my belly all the time.
He loves it. He definitely loves when Steph's pregnant too. Absolutely. Yeah, he's a lovey boy. The other one's an asshole.
Bobo's like, wait,
Bobo's an
where's
asshole.
my turn?
Yeah. Sit down, Bobo. With my kids, it's really great that I'm blessed to be able to work from home. I am in meetings all day long. I still don't see them a ton of time because I'm in my office working all day long having meetings, but I get to see them. They get to come in and interrupt us recording and give them hugs and kisses and stuff like that. But at the same time, the family and my family has only made me better. It's only made me want to work harder and not work harder directly for them, but to show them what's possible. And at the same time, they keep you grounded because everything is new and everything is amazing and everything is an adventure and everything is, something to play on or jump on or have fun with. And they don't know the meaning of no, and they don't know the meaning of quit, and they don't, they might get hurt, but then they pop up and run around as well. If you don't react, they could get hit by a meteorite and not really care. They're just like, okay, whatever. But it's really important that, self-care can come from hanging out with your family. Like when I take the kids to the park down the street, and they absolutely love it, and it makes you smile, makes you laugh, it rejuvenates you. You're releasing endorphins, oxytocin, all sorts of things that make you feel just good.
Mm-hmm.
And those family times they really will help people. And if you don't have a family, it's not a big deal. It's not. I'm not saying if you don't have a family, then hey, you can't do self-care, but don't use your family as an excuse. And for the fact that, I can't do self-care because I have a family, because that's not true. Like, you need to prioritize your family. It keeps you grounded. They keep you accountable. And at the same time, it helps you focus on what really matters. Because in the end, your friends, your colleagues, even your teammates, they might replace you after you die. They're going to need to. The business has to run. The place has to go on without you. People are, complaining because unfortunately we had the United Healthcare CEO that was murdered in New York City, and they had an ad up to replace him the next day, and people are like, oh, you're replaceable. Well, yeah, it's a fucking business, people. I mean, it's not like they're by any means putting up an ad before he was dead. Like, they weren't looking before then. Your position needs to be replaced, and that's realizing that. And even in my position, as a CEO or running a company or COO, you're going to you could get replaced at some
Mhm.
point for somebody better. And that's what you want to do as a
Yeah.
business owner. You want to replace yourself. You want to have somebody better in that position as you grow. And realizing that, after all that, the family will still be there. Hey, that's great. And if I guess if you're an asshole, the family could replace you with somebody else too. But that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But my family is my self care.
Yeah, and digging in a little bit more to something you briefly touched on is releasing oxytocin. And for men and women, this is going to look a little bit different. Studies show that for women, you release oxytocin when you're nurturing and caretaking. And so, I think about some of the forms of what would be alternative types of self care is when I'm doing things for Elia.
Mm.
It's like last night I took time out to prep her food for the week because I do everything organic, homemade. And so making different recipes so that she has what she needs for the rest of the week, which makes the rest of my week smoother because I'm not cooking every day. But it's also fun. And then I, give it to her and I watch her eat it and I watch her enjoy it. And I'm like, okay, home run. I did good on that recipe. She's happy. And while yes, that's her needing something from me, I'm also releasing oxytocin in the process. And so it did give me life to do that and to prep, and knowing that I'm being more efficient with my time for the rest of the week by spending time prepping her food like that. So, there's a few wins in that. And so I think that's going to look a little bit different. And then with men, it's when you're playing with your kids. That's when the most oxytocin is released. And
Mm.
so taking them to the park, it's yes, you'll get a little bit of release if you're cooking them food, but that's not the peak for a man. The men come from playing with their kids. So and it doesn't mean that I don't play with my daughter. It just means it doesn't do the same thing for me as it does for Sean.
Yep.
It's not going to do the same thing for Steph as it does for you when you take them to the park. And so, for men, it's that family time might look a little bit different to rejuvenate than it's going to look for a woman in the same kind of position. And we're talking about entrepreneurs and people in business. It's going to look a little bit different. So when I'm nurturing, I'm giving that benefit to myself. And when a man is playing and enjoying, he's giving that to himself. So understanding that too, I think is an important part if you want to get the most life out of the time that you're spending with your family, is recognizing when are you getting the most boost out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, along with that, with we'll get into, the marriage part of it. And uh, people need to realize that as their business grows and as you grow, or as you expand in your company, everything needs to be scheduled, even like time with your spouse. Like Steph and I, and this was taught to me by a great entrepreneur and a business mentor of mine, to go on weekly date nights. And so Steph and I used to have date nights on Friday. Every Friday, we would go out and do something. It's usually food related. Honestly, it's just dinner. Usually, there's very little time that we've gone to shows or something like that. In the Dallas area, there isn't a lot of that. And as we got older, we like to eat earlier and earlier. So we're like, 5:30 dinner, et cetera, so we could get home and spend time with the kids. But that's still really, that's late for us. So 5:30 dinners. And I was traveling every weekend and we started to miss date nights. So now date
Mhm.
nights are on Tuesday so that we know we have the time. The nanny knows that she stays late on Tuesday nights so that we can go on our date night. And that talking about, and it could just be sitting there literally because we're both exhausted, like at the dinner table, fucking on our phone, fucking playing on our phones together. Sometimes, I'm working or she's, Instagramming. But at the same time, we're just together. We just have our time away from the kids, away from the house, away from anybody who needs us. And so just sitting and making sure that you have time for your spouse or time for your
Mm.
significant other, and you're making time for them, is extremely important when it comes to that re-energizing feeling, and making sure that you guys stay together as a couple, or we stay together as a couple, which is extremely important.
Yeah. And to that point, Sean and I don't go on date nights.
No, you do morning fucking 5 a.m. runs.
That's what I was going to say. Ours is more like our weekend runs,
Yeah,
like our
That's just awful.
5Ks, 10Ks. He did a marathon recently.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, but we take the
I could
baby
never
with us.
be that family. You're gonna be that family. What'd you say? You take
We take the baby with us.
Yeah, no,
like
I know.
she's
I
with
watch
us.
her. She doesn't. She probably wants no part of that. She's
No,
like, this
she
is
loves
bullshit.
it. She
This
loves
is
it. Her
bullshit.
feet are kicking. She
Yeah.
thinks she's actually helping.
She's screaming the entire time, and you're like, she loves it. You're gonna be one of those families when you grow up, and like anybody who Elia dates, they're up at, they got to go on the weekend. Like we're gonna go on our turkey trot half marathon.
Yeah.
You're coming with us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mhm.
That's awful.
Yeah, that's actually what we did.
God.
My mom and her husband flew into town for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And we told our parents that if they like wanted to do the turkey trot with us, that's what we were going to do Thanksgiving morning.
Mhm.
So we had everybody up at 5:30 a.m., including my son. He came too. But I was like, Merry Christmas. That was your Christmas present. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, gee, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we did. We had everybody up. It was great. It was a great time. They enjoyed it. But anyway,
They'll tell you they enjoyed it.
Sean
They
and
did
I
not enjoy it.
we have a lot of great conversation.
Okay.
So we don't go out on dates because he has a very strict diet.
Mm.
And I love to eat everything.
Mhm.
So, it's like, well, he's gotten better about he'll just sit and watch me eat. It's a little bit awkward. So I usually take Isaac out on dates,
Yeah, there you go.
mom-son dates
Yeah.
a couple times a month. And that's when I get to eat like my Indian curry or my
Yeah.
pizza.
Okay.
And so, but Sean and I have a lot of quality time at home together.
Mm.
And I think that's, for people who are like, hey, it's just not practical for us to go on a weekly date day. You could be working toward that, but then just making sure you're spending that quality time with your partner, having valuable conversations. And if that's even looking up online, like what are some thought-provoking questions you can ask each other, but really spending time connecting. And I think that's important because we don't go on dates. We've never had anybody watch Elia. Quite frankly, I don't trust anybody at this point with her. Maybe that will change at some point, but
Freaking helicopter mom. We were laughing about that the other day because our family members came over and they're like, helicopter mom, because Leo runs around and hits his head against something and they're like, oh my god, is he okay? And it's like, just watch, he'll be fine. And
He'll
he
be
just
fine.
pops up and runs and shit like that. Oh my god.
that
yeah.
part's okay, but I feel like, I won't get into the details of the family dynamics that caused me to
They're always like
go like this a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure. I do have a very good friend, and she said one day she would watch the baby, and I was like, you know what?
maybe you might be able to too.
You might be the only person I would be like, I think you got this.
There you go.
Anyway, I digress. So managing family activities is an important part of self-care. And I think we unpacked that pretty good in that outline. And so this might also be another one of my favorites. This is going to be up there. And that is sleep.
This is my favorite.
Is this your favorite?
Yeah,
I was going to say, because
Yep.
you struggle a little bit with your sleep, or you have in the past.
Yeah.
So how do you manage sleep and making sure that you're getting enough rest?
I realized a long time ago that I guess relatively, I guess a long time ago is maybe in the last year and a half, 2 years. If I didn't really get 8 hours of sleep, then I know I feel it the next day. I am slower. I am less clear, and I have since I was got a kid, that every probably quarter, so every 3 maybe 4 months if you push it, I have to hibernate like a bear for a day. And it's just like a day thing, and I know it too. Like I will feel it after a while that, you know what, if I don't take a day just not responding to anybody and sleeping, then I'll definitely I'll push myself over the edge and end up in the hospital. So, and Steph knows it too, because she's seen me end up in the hospital a few times since we've been together for that. And it's just a compounding effect of, 6 hours, 7 hours, less than 8 hours of sleep over time. And even if I get 8 or 10 hours the next day, you don't actually get that back. It doesn't really measure out. If you get 5 hours of sleep one night and 10 hours the next night, it doesn't like even out to the 7.5 hours of each night. Your body doesn't do that. It still suffers from the
Mm.
lack of sleep from the day before. And so every quarter or every 4 months, I'm like, like I gotta take a day. I have to hibernate, Steph, and she knows. And literally, I sleep all fucking day. I wake up to eat, and I go right back to bed, and I
Mm.
sleep for a good like 24 hours minimum. And then I feel just like I could run through fucking walls for another 4 months, 3 or 4 months. And that occurs all the time. But I've realized that, that's just me. That's what helps me to re-energize myself. But if I don't get that, I will start to drag slower and slower and slower. But sleep is absolutely important. There are studies that show that if you do get less than 8 hours of sleep, you do have reduced cognition no matter what. Your decision making is slowed no matter what. So that's what I try and get every night is at least 8 hours of sleep.
That sounds so dreamy.
I know. I know.
Especially
Females
20
and moms are totally different.
24 hours. I would
24 hours is like
who can I pay for that? That's what I need to do is go on vacation just to sleep.
Just to sleep. Yeah.
Just to sleep. Yeah, this is so growing up, I was always the child. There's three of us. I have an older brother and sister. My mom would fight to get them to bed. I, on the other hand, was the one that as soon as I started feeling tired, I was like, I'm going to bed. Like I would put myself to bed, even like at early age. She's like, I've never had to worry about you and sleeping. Like she's like, you'll just take yourself to bed. And that's actually a funny kind of thing that they say about Taurus is that we like to sleep a lot. And there's a few things that are very accurate with the zodiac: sleep and eating. I love eating. I love nice things and I love to sleep. So this year has stretched me to a whole new level because being a new mom, well, I've been a mom, but a mom with a newborn, breastfeeding, as she does not sleep through the night. My son is like me when it comes to sleep. I brought him home from the hospital. I think he was like 2 weeks old and he was sleeping like 6 hours at a time.
That's awesome.
It was fantastic.
My God.
Elia, up every hour and a half to 2 hours.
Oh, God.
And still to this day, like I was up, I think 4 or 5 times last night.
Jeez.
So yeah. So
she's almost a year?
Yeah.
You need to get her fucking sleep trained, bro.
Yeah. We worked a little bit on it.
That you can't work a
It's
little
hard.
bit on sleep training.
It was something that I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Just put that woman to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah. Who cares if she screams?
I can't. My heart hurts. I can't do it.
Yeah. Just turn. You know what helps that?
I tried.
Turn the monitor off.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know. I couldn't do it. But anyway, it's getting little longer stretches. Okay. But I'm still nursing. So I do get up in the middle of the night to pump all the things. So anyway, after a year, that will all look a little bit different. But anyway, I do think when it comes to sleep, people don't pay attention to how much it affects them. They think it's just kind of like, it is what it is, or, this is just how I got to do it. I'll hype up on caffeine, but it's just not the same as taking the time to rest. And sometimes that means even just taking a rest day, where what you're talking about, and that could look like every week, if every Sunday or every Saturday or whatever that looks like, you're not really worried about cleaning the house or making sure everything's perfect or working out, or you just kind of chill for the day and allow yourself to just be and, not put all this pressure on getting work done or all these things that you do maybe the other 6 days of the week. And so that's at night. But it's really the ultimate reset is sleep and rest, and it shouldn't be slept on. That was a mom joke. Did you get it?
I like it. I heard it.
I
heard it. I felt it. Mason could have pressed the sound effect button to help us. I mean,
Do we have sound effect
we
for
do
that?
have
Like
sound
a,
effects. I don't know which
well, I
one.
don't know what it would be
Yes.
like.
Oh, there you go.
A mic, is there a mic drop on there?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think people don't necessarily think that that counts. But that is, and it's a form of self-care that isn't expensive. Not all self-care needs to be expensive and long and drawn out and these big elaborate events, but it is something that is consistently affecting your productivity is your sleep and your rest.
Yep, 100%. You guys, you have to prioritize that. If you prioritize, nothing else, sleep is probably number one, followed very closely by, uh, you know, your diet and your exercise. You get those two things right, or those three things right, you're going to be able to dominate. You're going to be able to be way more efficient, way more clear, and you're just going to do better than your colleagues. 100%.
Yeah. And so for you, or like for the people that maybe do struggle with sleep, like what are there some things that help you get those 8 hours? Like, are there certain things that you do on a normal basis?
Nope, not at all. I don't have those, like, I don't have entire a list of these are the 5 things I do to get better sleep. There's this things that everybody that shows in the studies to be proven true. So we do have blackout curtains. So I think blackout curtains help us. They're completely, obviously, blackout curtains completely block out any um and all types of light whatsoever. So we have those. Those help. The second thing we do is my wife uses a noise machine, so like a sound of rain, or
Mm.
some sort of calming sound. There are a good amount of studies that show that sound therapy, whether that's um, brown noise, white noise is a little bit too staticky, so we changed them to like a brown noise or green noise. Those are low. Um, Vibration noises that kind of help people fall asleep more. Not sleeping with your phone near your head. My wife is a proponent of that. I do it. It's probably affecting my sleep. There's good studies that show that having that away from your head is good and important for restful sleep. Not watching a bunch of TV before you go to bed, because you've got the all the different lights and stuff like that that fuck with your melatonin. At the same time, staring at your phone screen before you go to bed is bad. And there's like filters and stuff like that. I don't know how much that stuff really fucking works in the end. But so those are all things that we try and avoid as much as possible. So relaxing, reading a book. One of the other tricks actually that is, I think, pretty useful, and I don't have this problem because I fall asleep really fast. But there was a sleep doctor that told me, essentially, if you're laying in bed and you're just like trying to go to sleep, but your body is completely awake, just get out of bed.
Mm.
Like, do other things out of bed until you start to feel like you're tired, and then get in bed when you're actually tired. So that'll trigger your body to know, okay, if I'm really getting in bed, that's the time I need to rest and that time I need to sleep. Otherwise, you're in bed and your brain is moving a million miles an hour, and you're just thinking, okay, well, my brain's moving a million miles an hour. I got to work. I have all these things I have to do. So those are all the things that have kind of helped me,
Mhm.
relax, unwind before going to bed.
Well, there is something there that we talked about in a previous podcast that I think also should get mentioned, and that is alcohol consumption. And a lot of people come home after a
Yep.
long day and they think, I'm going to have a beer, I'm going to have a glass of
Yep.
wine, but they don't recognize that that actually is negatively impacting their sleep. I have dog hair all over my face. Bobo's hairs, or Reptar's hairs all over my face. So if you see me picking that off, that's what's going on. Um, but yeah, but I think that's something that you and I both have shifted in our life, and that's, not drinking alcohol. And I know for sure I'm getting better sleep since that. But then the other thing is hormone balance.
Mm.
And I notice when I am balanced hormonally, I sleep better. And I'm not sure what studies there are to back that up, but my personal experience is that, and I'm looking forward to this after I'm done breastfeeding and I can kind of get back to like a level playing field with my hormones
Mhm.
again, is, really noticing the difference between my attention and energy during the day and that level of or productiveness I have during the day, and my rest time at night really works better, that flow back and forth when my hormones are balanced.
Yeah. That's actually the number one side effect that, or a benefit that I see of people on hormone therapy is sleep is one of the first things that are affected in a positive manner. Once
Mhm.
hormones are balanced, sleep gets much better. You get deeper into sleep faster. You stay in those, the REM sleep much easier. So it's more restful sleep. That's a huge part of uh, balancing your hormones is sleep.
Awesome. So that's something that if you haven't balanced your hormones would be another good place
Yeah.
to
Get
start.
checked. Reach out.
Mhm. So if somebody wants to connect with your medical mastermind, let's talk about that for a second, because you've got some really cool things popping with that. It's new, it's launching, and I saw your first reel that got posted yesterday. It was absolutely
There
perfect.
you go.
So if you want to know more, follow Charismetics on Instagram. You'll see the reel of Dr. Alex and the clinic owner
Mhm.
having a really nice interaction.
Make it sound so weird and creepy. Good. Yeah. So, yes, you can find it at joincharismetics.com or dralexpinoso.com. You click on Mastermind, you'll be able to find us on there.
Awesome. And then your free courses you talked about at the beginning. So if somebody's listening and they want to connect with more of what you have to offer, there's a ton of free stuff that they can check out. And so just to recap on the points today that we made, because we had a few little rabbit trail stories, is really the key points on self care and not being lame, but being legit productive self care is that the greatest form of self care is exercise and eating well, making sure that you have a quality physical health. There's no substitute for that. Number two is productivity and self care aren't mutually exclusive, and so what renews you, even if it means working, is worth doing. And as we heard from you, a lot of your work renews you and gives you that energy. And so, if that is you, don't feel like you have to have a spa day. Do whatever makes you feel your best. And three, which I don't think we actually named this as the third one. We just kind of went into the conversation. So if you're just listening, the third one was family time provides a natural sense of self care and keeps us grounded and refreshed. And then the fourth one, which we dug deeper into, which is sleep. And that is the ultimate form of self care. So do not underestimate the power that it brings you. And I love this podcast. This is a fun one. I like self-care. I love all forms, whether it be spa or work related or any of the things that we covered today. And so it just gets me excited to think about the better I am, the better I can give to everybody else.
100%. Love it. You guys remember self care, it doesn't have to be elaborate, it doesn't have to be time consuming. It's about doing things that really truly take care of you, your mind, your body, and your spirit. Once you do that, you're going to be unstoppable.